How are you? I gotta remember to take pictures of this stuff after this. Me remembering stuff is like, is it or is it not going to happen? Hello and welcome. Thank you to the replay crew. Thank you to those who came later in the live that circled back. We're going to go ahead and do the intro for new people who have not heard it before. And if you have heard it before, you just like hearing it. I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube. The crazy, knowing it's okay to be your authentic self in a world where people will tell you who and how you should be. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. You set the standard for yourself. Try not to feel like you need to use a certain brand, a certain tool, or a certain technique. Use whatever you want to, however you want to get your makeup on in a way that you are satisfied with it. Here we believe in self-acceptance and self-love, embracing our natural features, enhancing them if we want to, when we want to, but never feeling like we have to. Love yourself for who you are and for how you look, even when you're not wearing face paint. So that's what we stand for here. Hello, Grace. And that's our motto here. And so I hope that it does resonate with you. And I hope that it has become or will become one of your daily affirmations, just to love yourself for who you are. And so 2 things about me. I curse sometimes because I curse sometimes. And the other thing is that the organism named Bruce that lives in my throat that likes to randomly hiccup and gurgle during live streams. And so I try to be aware of it to say, excuse me. So if you hear something and I don't say excuse me ahead of time. So this live stream, one of my members requested for me to do a live stream talking about like silly things I've said or done, because they know I'm goof troop, okay? Like they know it. I'm goof troop sometimes. And another member was like, oh yeah, it can be story time. Hey Janet. And then another member said, oh yeah, it can be story time with Dion. And so that's what we're doing. Members here do get to make requests. If you click join, it'll show you the membership perks, and if those appeal to you, it'll guide you through, like a 90-second process for you to actually join. It's $2.99 a month, and you can cancel at any time. The main perk for me is members do get to make requests, and it's not always makeup, as you see. So this is going to be a commentary video talking about just everything isn't silly, but some stuff is like, for real. Hey Janet. And so as I would think of things, I would just write them down. So we do have a list of things to talk about, and feel free to share some silly stories or just like things that make you go type stuff that you've done, because I do things like that quite often, if not every day. I just do it and forget about it, but I made it a point. I'm like, oh, I need to write that down for that live stream. And so here we are. So some of these things I'm just like, are you okay? And so talking about things that I've done that was just kind of like either wacky or silly, and some stuff was a little serious. In other situations, it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, what the hell? So when I was 15, I started smoking cigarettes, right? I am a quitter. Sometimes it's okay to be a quitter. And I was dating this guy, and he smoked cigarettes. And for whatever reason, I felt like I wasn't getting enough attention from him, right? And so he smoked cigarettes. And so, people who smoke cigarettes, they'll leave the pack on the table or whatever. And so I would light a cigarette, and he would get upset. And this is where we talk about negative reinforcement. When someone does something bad and you reinforce it by giving them the attention that they need. On the flip side is positive reinforcement. Why am I going clinical with this? Positive reinforcement is when you comment on something good that a person does and they will do more of that. Thank you, Grace. Versus negative reinforcement. And some kids will act out just to get that attention, but it's negative because you're enforcing negative behaviors. But anyway, I didn't know this at the time. But so all I knew is that when I would smoke or light a cigarette, he would get upset and then I would get attention. And so somewhere along the line though, thank you, Grace, send me a makeup brush. Thank you. And somewhere along the line, y'all, I really started smoking because I would just light it. He would get mad. But then I caught the taste for it, which is wacky as hell because cigarettes, they don't taste like candy. Like it is just like, it's just nasty. And so I think I just got used to it. And so then I started smoking cigarettes for real. And at one point, I was smoking a pack of 100s every day. And the pack of 100s is cigarettes, but they would be longer than the regular cigarettes. I was smoking, I got up to a pack a day. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And back then, cigarettes was less than $2 a pack. But now, I'm glad I did quit because now cigarettes is expensive. Oh, hell no. And so, and I was a, thank you, Grace, for the flower. Yeah, sometimes it's okay to be a quitter. But I was like, but now when I think about the price of cigarettes, and even after I quit and prices started going up, because again, this is when I was like 15, right? And I'm like over 50 now. Hey, Shannon, thank you. And so I was the off again, on again smoker. And so I wasn't, even though I was up to a pack a day, like there were times I just wouldn't smoke. And everywhere I lived, you couldn't smoke in the house, right? So if it was raining outside, I would not smoke. I'm like, I'm not going outside in the rain to smoke the cigarette. If it was really hot outside, I didn't smoke because it's like, okay, you're puffing fire in your face. And so, and then if I was sick, I didn't smoke because you didn't taste it. I'll tell you this, if you're a smoker, you can relate. When you're a smoker, there's 3 times you have to smoke. After you eat, after you have sex, and when you're having a bowel movement. I don't know what it is, but those are the 3 times you have to have a cigarette. I don't know why. And when I talk to other smokers, they were like, those are the 3 times. And you do smoke throughout the day, but those are the 3 times you have to have a cigarette. I don't know why. Ask people you know who smoke and be like, yeah, sex after you eat. And Genesis incorrect. So which one? Everybody I've asked, they were like, yeah, after you eat, after you have sex, and when you're sitting on the toilet. So and maybe it was my environment with people I knew, but the people I knew, they were all like, yeah, those are the 3 times you have to have a cigarette. And so I was an off again, on again smoker. And so if it was raining out, I didn't smoke. If it was hot out, I didn't smoke. And when I went to Job Corps, what year was that when I went to Job Corps? It's on my wall somewhere because I got all these, my lifeline of certificates and degrees and stuff over there. I want to say 1989, maybe. I feel like Public Enemy. 1989 is the summer, something, Flavor Flav and Public Enemy. Anyway. And so when I went to Job Corps, and I went upstate New York, and Callicoon, New York, never heard of the place. Those darn 100s. Yeah, I was smoking a pack a day. And I'm like, that is insane. That's a lot of nicotine. So when I went to Job Corps, and it's funny now, I was making money at Job Corps because everybody don't always have cigarettes. They didn't always have money to buy cigarettes. And so if somebody wanted to buy a cigarette from you, it was 25 cents for a cigarette or 50 cents on credit. So like if they didn't have money, okay, this one cigarette is going to cost you 50 cents when you get your money. And people would do that. And so I was selling more cigarettes than I was smoking. So if I sold 5 cigarettes on credit, that was the cost of a pack of cigarettes. And so I was making money and people was paying it because they're going to come back and be like, hey, you got a cigarette. You never got that bad during my smoking year. Yeah, and it was only like that for maybe a year or so when I was smoking that much. It was just crazy. But then going to Job Corps, I was selling more than I was smoking, which was good because I was making money, not good for other people. But 50 cents on credit for a cigarette? What? And so, and I would still smoke here and there. And when I had gotten sick or something, this was after Job Corps. And so I didn't smoke when I was sick because you can't taste, as if nicotine tastes good. That shit is nasty. And so I didn't smoke. And when I got well, I still didn't smoke. And then I went to go, smoke a cigarette. I'm like, wait a minute, how long has it been? Like, I ain't smoking like 2 weeks. I'm like, I could just quit. So I stopped. I stopped smoking just like that. Didn't sell them, wasn't buying them, wasn't smoking them. And the ones I had, I threw away. And when I transferred from community college in New Jersey to Long Island University, so here I am back on Long Island, but I wasn't upstate like where the Job Corps was that I went to. And and this was in 92 when I transferred to Long Island University, and that's where I got my bachelor's from. And I started smoking again. And one day, I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, long has it been since I smoked? And I thought about it. It had been a year since I had smoked. So the trigger was just the stress of being from the hood. Now I'm in school on Long Island with old money. And it was just culture shock. Like, y'all people have no clue like what living is. Like, y'all just it was stressful. So that's what the trigger was when I thought about it. But I really stopped myself and was like, how long had it been since I freaking smoked? It had been a year. So I said, if I cannot smoke for a year, I cannot smoke, period. I threw that cigarette somewhere, threw the pack away. I haven't smoked since. And so that was in 1993 when I quit the second and last time, just cold turkey. I'm like, if I could not smoke for a year, I cannot smoke, period. And so that's when I quit. And so that's one of them stories that's like, okay. And I know a lot of people who keep trying to quit and it doesn't work. But yeah, and I do really believe it's because I was an on again, off again smoker. Like, I wasn't a chain smoker. But I am glad that I quit. So that's one story. When did you quit, Janet? So when I transferred, I think I was 19. So I smoked about 4 years, on and off for about 4 years. And I, and around 16, 17 is when I started drinking alcohol, and I quit drinking alcohol in 96, 95. 96. Because y'all see me now, I'm off already. I'm like, I don't need any help being off. So I decided to just stop drinking because people was like, oh, you did this, you did that. And I'm like, word? Like, what? I need no help being off. So I quit drinking too. And I don't have a problem being around people who drink alcohol. And that reminded me of a drinking story where this guy was like, yo, okay, I'll save that for another time. You quit about 3 hours before your 30th birthday cold turkey. That is awesome. Congratulations. That was a wonderful, hey, Locke, that was a wonderful birthday gift to yourself to quit. Yeah. Congratulations. Hey, Locke, we're one story in to story time and silly stories or stories. That's like, what? So the second story I wrote down is, and this is on the spiritual side of things, and I know I've told y'all before that I have had some experiences from my youth. I remember in particular when, and the house isn't there no more. I grew up on Boyd Street in Camden, New Jersey, and the whole block is different. One time when I was dating an English mutt dude, because we grew up completely different. He grew up on like a farm, and I'm like, I grew up in the hood. And so I was just like, let me just, take him up to this place, because he ain't know nothing about inner city, none of that. And so he's in the car looking around like, oh my God. And so I took him down the street I lived, and that side of the street was completely knocked down except for one house on the corner and like one house in the middle of the block. And I'm like, damn, like when your history is erased, like your history is like physically erased. But anyway, I remember when I lived there, and I would be walking down the street and I would hear somebody call my name. And so I would look. It wouldn't be nobody there. So I'd be like, keep walking. And that would happen quite frequently. And so I would hear somebody call my name, I look, it would be nobody there. And there's other stuff that I would see other times that we're not going to get into, because some of y'all might be like, oh my God, this like, what is she like? Yeah, she's tapped into something otherworldly. And so, but it happened so frequently that I had told my mom about it. And I didn't know at that time that she had experiences too, because I'm a kid, so I didn't really think like, why'd she say that way? But I had told her, I said, Mom, I said, sometimes I hear somebody calling my name, and when I look back, it's nobody there. And what she told me was, she said, don't answer them, they can't hurt you. And I was like, oh, okay, and just went about my business. And then when I got older and I think about that, I'm like, why would she say that way? Because I feel like most parents be like, what do you mean you hear somebody calling me, nobody there? Like, what are you talking about? She was like, just don't answer them, they can't hurt you. And that was it. And so I was like, okay. And then as I got older into my preteen years, I was telling her about something that happened. And she was telling me about, some experiences that she had. And then it made sense that that's why that was her response to me, because she also had some spiritual experiences too. But looking back, I'm like, why would she just say don't Don't answer. They can't hurt you. It would have been like, wait, what do you mean? People call you, ain't nobody there. You hallucinating? You crazy? Like what? But no, she was just. So I was just like, oh. And so that was just like not like a silly thing that happened, but just one of them things like, that's interesting. Because you told me somebody called you, ain't nobody there. I'm going to be like, are you okay? Well, I wouldn't because I've had those experiences. But most people be like, what do you mean? Yeah, but she was just so nonchalant about it. Here's a story that I was just like, it was, to me, it was crazy. Because it's like, it didn't make any sense. And it has to do with my mom's mom, who is no longer here. I did tell you I couch surfed for a while, which means you're homeless because you're just staying wherever you can. And then when the welcome wears out, then it's like, okay, where am I going to go next? And so there was one point in time, actually a couple points in time, when I had stayed down at my grandmother's house in the country. And upstairs, there were 2 twin beds. And then somewhere along the line, there was a 3rd twin bed. So it was one of them houses where, like if you needed a place to stay, just come stay. That's how my grandmother's house in the country was. And so, because her kids, my youngest uncle on my mom's side is 9 years older than me. So if I'm a teenager, they're all grown. So like, why are there 3 twin beds upstairs? Like, who's staying here? You know what I mean? And so it was just one of those houses where if you need a place to stay, go stay in grandma's house. And so, I stayed there a little bit and stuff got crazy. And then I moved out. And so I was back to couch surfing. At least being there, I was with family, right? And not just with like random people here and there. And I was talking to her on the phone one day and she asked me, where was her mattress? And I'm like, what do you mean, where's the mattress? She said, one of the twin mattresses upstairs. I'm like, what do you mean, where's the mattress? She's like, where'd you take the mattress to? And I was like, I said, Grandma, I'm homeless. Like, where would I take a twin mattress? I didn't have my license at that point. I didn't have a car. And even walking to the bus stop was like 15 minutes. And then getting on, I'm thinking to like, okay, so she really thinks that I picked up this twin mattress and the box spring was still there. So that was just weird. But she had in her mind that I took this mattress and took it somewhere. And I'm thinking I would have had to have picked up this twin mattress on top of whatever bags and stuff I had, walk 15 minutes to the bus, get on the bus with this mattress and my bags. And I'm like, so in my mind, hey, Tanya. So in my mind, I'm like, what the hell? She really believed I took one of them twin mattresses. I'm like, where the hell would I have took it to? I was homeless. Exactly, Janet. How would I have taken it and to where? I didn't have a car. I was taking buses, walking to the bus stop, taking the bus, and then wherever I get off the bus, walk to wherever else I'm going or get on the train or something. So y'all, she had it in her mind. Hello, how are you today? But she had it in her mind, dead ass, that I took that mattress. And I was just like, and I did curse more then than now, but I didn't curse around family. And of course, I wasn't going to, hey, Haywood. And I definitely wasn't going to curse at my grandmother. But I was just like, in my mind, I'm like, how the fuck you think I stole a twin mattress? I don't even have no fucking place to live. Like, what? Dead ass. Dead ass. She argued me down because she wanted that mattress back. So that's one of them stories that is not funny, but it's just like, what? Where? I ain't had no car. Like, where? How in the hell would I even transport this thing? So it was, it was crazy. Dead ass. She thought I took that mattress. Dead ass. I don't know where the mattress was. And when I did go visit her again, it was 3 box springs up there and 2 mattresses. So somebody took it, but it damn sure wasn't me. But I was just like, dead ass, y'all. She was mad. Bring my mattress back. I don't have to. What? I'm homeless. Where am I going? Y'all. She was dead ass serious, y'all, that I took that mattress. How would I have transported it and where would I have took it to? Like, so thank you, Locke, for wanting me to talk about stuff that's wacky that happened in my life. And thank you, Janet, for co-signing that, because that's wacky as hell. I was just like, and thinking back, I'm still just like, what? Have you ever seen a homeless person walking down the street carrying a mattress? No, they just have a bunch of bags. Like, what the hell? It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. Hey, After Dark, thank you. How are you this evening or morning, wherever you are in the world? We do have people watch from other countries. But yeah, that was like one of the most like, huh? Situations. This next incident, and y'all can chime in with y'all kind of out there stories too. Feel free to discuss, because it's a story time. It's just not me just talking at y'all, because y'all know we be chit chatting. This is when I look back, this is when I should have known that I have color perception challenges. It was in 2024. No, it was 2004. And I remember it because of where I worked at. That's when I worked at the juvenile jail. And that was in 2004. And I dressed in browns and tans. And I was going to go to work. And you know how all blacks are not the same? And if it's a different material, like even now, like this black shirt is different than this black. You know what I'm saying? And so we know the same color can be different colors. And I have a shirt under here. So like all of these blacks, these are close. But this one is definitely a different black than the shirts. And it's shiny. So different materials or whatever. So I caught myself dressing in tan and brown, right? The socks, the shoes, the pants, the shirt, the jacket. Right? I get in my vehicle and I drive down the street. And before I even get out of the development I lived in, I looked and I'm like, and maybe because I was in the sunlight, I don't know. And not that I got dressed in the dark, because I didn't. But I was looking at my clothes. Nobody be offended, okay? I said, I look like a freaking Puerto Rican. Because where I live, the Puerto Ricans always just mix match. Where I grew up at. And I'm like, I look like a Puerto Rican. I was like, and I looked at the time. I said, well, I'll just be late to work. So I turned around and went home and changed my clothes. And so that's when I should have knew. I had color perception issues. Because I left the house like, yeah, I'm styling. Because, people who wear, everything matches and this and that. Yo, I ain't matched not one bit. All the tans was different, the browns was different, and I'm out there like, yeah, and I was like, oh hell. So I went back home and changed my clothes. That was in 2004. So that's when I should have knew I had color perception issues. My socks ain't matched, my shirt didn't match the pants. I even had on like tan brown shoes. I was just looking probably still homeless. But it was just crazy because I was just like, girl. I mean, I can't go to work like this. And working with teenage boys, they would have laughed me all day long, all shift long. And so I went home and changed my clothes. So that's a funny story in hindsight. So another story, when I was in basic training for the Army National Guard, later in life, I enlisted full time. And, there's some craziness going on right now with the strikes in Venezuela. But that's another video. When you see an officer, you're supposed to say, I forget what it is you're supposed to say because I didn't really care. When you see an officer coming, you say attention. And so whoever's around, stand up, salute and all of that. Has that ever been confirmed? No, it hasn't, because they're testing me for green and red and blues and yellows or something. And so it's never been confirmed. But it's been confirmed for me when I bought that red dress and people were like, oh, that's a pretty coral color. And I'm like, this ain't red. They were like, that is not red, that's coral. And so I do know for sure, like I'm not colorblind. It's just the way I perceive color is sometimes different than what most people perceive color to be. Yeah, so I'm not colorblind, which is what they test for. And that dude, the one who don't communicate well, that I read him up, left, sideways, back and forth, and up and down. He said he's colorblind. So he sees things in shades of tans and grays. So like he doesn't see colors, either like some shade of tan or some shade of brown. And no, some shade of green. Because we were outside and the landing is wood. Is light brown and dark brown wood. Hey, Tanya, did I miss her? Oh, there she is. And And you can look over and see the steps going down, and then down you see the concrete that's like a grayish color, and then there's grass, which grass, well, no, spring and summer is green, and then this time of year and in the fall is brown, and then you have the concrete, which is black, where you park the cars. And so I asked him, I said, what color is this right here, pointing at the wood? And he said, it's green. And I said, oh, why you say that? He said, well, because I know that grass is green, and I know that that's grass down there, and so I'm just saying green. So even though he didn't see the green grass, he knows that grass is green. So he just said that was green too, thinking that it was all the same color. So yeah, he's like straight up colorblind, and he was tested for it. So he just associates certain things. Like he said, he says he knows from a kid, stop sign is white letters and it's red. So he knows when he sees that shape and he sees the word stop, he knows that it's white and red, even though he doesn't see white and red. So it's one of those things that he just doesn't see the colors. Where I see colors, I just think it's a different color than other people see. And so you're supposed to pay attention, and people stand up, salute, or whatever. And I don't know what was on my mind that day. I was outside cleaning with another soldier, because they give you busy work to do, just do stuff. And I saw an officer coming up the steps, and I stood up and I just looked at him. And he walked by, and I'm looking. And then he went. So I got down and did 10 push-ups, because anything you did wrong, you do 10 push-ups. So he just went. And I got down and did 10 push-ups. And the soldier I was working with, they were still cleaning or whatever. So she looked and she was like, why are you doing 10 push-ups? I said, Officer so-and-so just walked by. She said, why you didn't say anything? I said, I don't know. I really didn't know. I was just like, just looking at him walk by. He didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing. And he was like, so I got down and did my 10 push-ups, and he walked away. She was like, girl. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, so that's one of them things, like, she said, why you didn't say anything? And she was still cleaning, so she had no idea that he had even walked by, because I'm the one that was supposed to announce it, because I seen him, and I ain't say shit. She said, why you didn't say anything? I'm like, I don't know. And I really don't know. I was just... And we locked eyes, too, and I'm just looking at him, he looking at me. He probably was like, this soldier crazy. I ain't say nothing. So I did my 10 push-ups, and that was it. Right, Janet? And when I look back, I'm like, I still don't know what I was thinking. I'm just, I don't know where my mind was. I just didn't care. I don't know what it was. Y'all just looked at him, and we was locked eyes. He walked in, and we just stared at each other. And he went, got down to my push-ups. He kept walking. I don't know what I was thinking. Probably nothing. But I still remember her saying, why you didn't say anything? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And another time, another military story. This one was funny to me. We were in formation, and you're in formation for inspection, because there's going to be, some parade or something coming up, and they want to make sure your uniform is straight and you have all your stuff, and, everything is lined up and everything looks nice or whatever. And so we standing in formation, and I remember this officer too, and I forget his name, but he, low key, he was funny, because you're always supposed to be stoic, like at the meeting with all the top military people, and he was like, y'all can clap if y'all want to. No, when y'all in uniform, you're supposed to just... When they take pictures, you're supposed to show no emotion at all. Rebellious 10 push-ups, time to disobey subconsciously. I will say that was one of the times I was in the best shape of my life. But, and so you're supposed to be just stoic. So how all them sat there, that's how they were supposed to do. And somebody has said, I only heard 2 different news channel people say that. But other people are like, yeah, nobody clap. Motherfucker, they ain't supposed to clap. And it's in the rules, like you don't clap. If you're in uniform, you're not supposed to have any political leaning either way. So they did what they were supposed to, just sit there. And when you're in formation, that's what you do. And so this one officer, low key, he was funny, because he would do stuff and kind of be like he would get ready to smile and then try to hide it. But he walked by, and so he's looking at the pins and stuff. And this is when I had enlisted full time. And I forget who told me about it. I think it was one of the drill sergeants or something. And I found out something else too. my National Guard, I signed up for 4 years. And when I went later to enlist active duty, this one sergeant was like, because I had two pins. You have well, it's like a V-shaped thing, and you have one for every 2 years of service. And so I had two because I had enlisted, well, Army National Guard for 4 years. I had signed up for it, and he said you should have more pins than that. And I was just like, and this wasn't during that formation. This was just like some other, something. So I took my jacket in to be looked at, my suit jacket or whatever, to be my uniform jacket to be looked at. And he said, you should have at least 4 on your arm. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is what I did not know. I don't know if it's still this way. He said, look on your DD 214. He said, because it'll have you on there for 8 years. I'm like, what? But I only signed up for 4. He said, and this was back in 1991 when I had went in Army National Guard. And he said, when you sign up Army National Guard or reserves for 4 years, when you get out, they put you on an inactive list for another 4 years. So if a war break out, they can call you back up to 4 years after you're done. And I'm like, are you serious? I was like, damn. So I had, on the books, I had 8 years, even though I had only served National Guard for 4. I didn't know that. So I looked at my DD 214 and it did say 8 years. And I'm like, damn. He the first person ever said that to me. So I went to the to the PX and bought some more stripes, and then I'm looking on there too. And I took my DD 214 and I said, yeah, I'm supposed to have more stripes, whatever. And he's looking at all the other stuff. He said, yeah, and you should have more pins. I just had a couple pins. So he's looking at my DD 214, like the time you served, what was going on, does a storm happen during that time, blah 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 blah. So he was like, you should have this isn't. And I said, well, can you just get them all for me and then explain to me what they are? So he took my DD 214 and he's going around, the store, getting the pins for all the things that was on my DD 214. So I had, a nice little, array of pins, and they line them up right, certain, all of that stuff. And it has to be really detailed, very specific. And so I'm in formation. So I'm just standing there, and you're at attention. Then they tell you parade rest. And so it's just like keeping a straight face. They didn't tell me that. And so I'm wondering how many other people didn't know that. They could have called me back up to 4 years. Well, yeah, up to 4 years after I was out. If a war broke out, they could have called me back. I didn't know that. And I was just like, excuse me? So thankfully, well, by then I had enlisted full time, so it didn't matter at that point. But I was like, that's something you want to know. I'm signing up for 4 years for the Guard, and y'all can call me back another 4 years after that, up to another 4 years after that. They didn't tell me that. And I think I was like 18, 19. I might have been 18 or 19. And so, excuse me. So I didn't think to ask. So I wonder, I don't know if it's still like that. Excuse me for smacking. I don't know if it's still like that. And I don't know if it is still like that. It's like how many people don't know that? Because you get out thinking, oh, I'm done. You ain't done, boo-boo kitty troll child, because they can call you back. Yeah, that was just like, I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, why are you calling me? But it's your civil duty because you signed up and they put you on an active list, and if something happened, they call you back and you're supposed to go or be AWOL. But yeah, I was just like, what? So I had like 3 rows of pins on my jacket, on my uniform. And this same officer, not the one that we locked eyes, because that was in National Guard. So this is when I was enlisted. And so he's walking by and he's stopping in front of everybody. And, and he's looking, at all your pins and stuff like that. And he's looking at your uniform. It was inspection for like a thing we had to do. So he's looking, and then he's looking at his pins. And then he looked at mine again. And he went, and I wanted to laugh, but I'm like, because we're supposed to be. And he looked at my pins and he went, and I'm still just, and I'm wanting to laugh, but I'm like, I'm not going to laugh. And he said, what is that pin for right there? Hello. He said, what is that pin right there for? He said, I don't have that one. He said it like a brat. He's like, I don't have that one. And he was in longer than me. So that's probably why he's like, what is that pin and why I don't have it? Because he was decorated. He had y'all. And so, but he kept what is that pen right there for? He's like, I don't have that one. And I said, that's because when I was in the Army National Guard, that's when Desert Storm happened. And so I had a Desert Storm pen for being in the military during Desert Storm. And he was like, and then he just walked off to the next person, to the next soldier. But he was kind of salty. He was like, I don't have that one. So I'm glad that I asked the dude in the store to tell me what each one is, because I wouldn't know what it was either. He was like, this one's for this one's for that, this is that. And surprisingly, I remembered. But he was like, I don't have that one. And then, he did his pivot and went to the next soldier. But he was just like, I wanted to laugh so bad. I had more control back then. But so that was a funny story. Because he was just like, I don't have that one. Sorry, sir. That same officer, another story with the same officer. This one sergeant, she had a beat up raggedy ass pickup truck. Oh my gosh. She had a beat up raggedy ass pickup truck. You could hear her coming. And this was when I was in Texas too. When I enlisted, I went down to Texas, Fort Hood, Texas. And I'm like, it is too damn hot down here. And not that it's getting hot in here. It wasn't the cute hot. She had this beat up ass pickup truck. And one day somebody was like, oh, Sergeant so-and-so, her truck went on fire. I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's not funny. It is not funny. They said she was driving down a highway because she had called in saying she was going to be late, whatever. She had to take her car, whatever was happening. The police had to come. And I'm just like, what are y'all talking about? They said she was driving down a highway and the back of her truck caught on fire. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So it turned out she had a gasoline can in the back of her pickup truck. And Janet, Texas be hot. Texas be hot. No, I don't miss it. I don't miss it. And so, she took the truck to the shop, and then somehow she still drove it to work. And so it was in the parking lot in the back of the building. And so for whatever reason, I was looking out the window, looking out into the parking lot. And he came and he stood next to me, and I'm like, and it's the same one with the pins. So he stood next to me, and so I'm kind of like, why is he standing next to me? Like, what? And I worked in a brigade unit, which was a small number of people. So we all knew, we weren't all cool with each other, but we knew each other, like by face and by name, and what each other's job was and all of that. And so he's looking out the window, and I said, because I didn't know that was her truck. I said, whose truck is that? Sanford and Son? He went, and then he looked at me and was like, and still looking out the door. But yeah, he cracked his mouth. He was like, and a few seconds later, he just walked away. I'm like, whose truck is that? Sanford and Son? Because that's what it looked like. Them beat up ass truck. And I'm thinking, if it just caught on fire, like, how is it here? And so they're like, oh, she had a gas can in the back. They caught on fire because she was driving down the highway. It was like 120 degrees that day or whatever. But I was just, he was like, and he walked away. And that made me laugh because he was trying so hard, push-ups, because we were inside and we were looking out the window. And I'm still kind of like, why did he come stand next to me to look out the window with me? Like, what? Yeah, and this was a different one because the push-up thing, that's when I was in the Army National Guard, and that's when I was in South Carolina. So a completely different situation, different officer. But that's the pen officer. I was like, I don't have that one. What is that? But who is that? Sanford and Son? Y'all, that truck looked like a Sanford and Son truck. It was just looking raggedy. So that was like something that was, I made him crack a smile. Oh, here's a good one. My first year living in Delaware. I moved to Delaware in August 2003 because I was waiting until I finished my master's because y'all knew I was going to walk for my master's. And 2 weeks after the graduation is when I moved to Delaware. And so I was thinking like, damn, I was living in an apartment. In my second year in Delaware, I purchased a house. And Thank you. And so I was living alone still. And so I was just like, no, it might have been when I first moved. So I moved here in August 2003. And I was thinking how I'm gonna be alone for the holidays. And there's three main outlets down at Rehoboth Beach. There's Tanger outlets, there's another outlet, and there's another outlet. So it's just like however many stores, y'all. It's just insane. One is on one side of the street. That's where the Coach outlet store is. I used to go there. And then on the other side of the street had the other two, but they took up like space. And so that was the only time I could say I shopped till I dropped. And so I went down there because I said, you know what? This is when I celebrated Christmas. I said, I'm gonna have me a good Christmas, damn it. So I went down there and I went to the Coach store, went to other stores, and I'm in and out of stores and I'm shopping. And I got there. It's a 2 hour, 2.5 hour drive, depending on traffic. It should be 2 hours, but it's like 2.5. And so I think I might have left home maybe at like 9 in the morning, got there around 11 something. So I'm shopping and shopping and shopping. And when I would leave each store, I would put my bags in a trunk. And so then I'll shop some more, shop some more. So I finished shopping Tanger outlets, which is just a lot of freaking stores. And so then I drove to the other side of the street to one of the other outlets. And I'm like, damn, I'm kind of hungry. So of course they have restaurants at the outlets. And so I went to a restaurant, bought myself lunch, and then when it started shopping again, shopping. When I would have a bunch of bags or leave a store if it was close to my vehicle, I would put the bags in the trunk of my car and started shopping again, got hungry again. I'm like, damn. I wasn't even tracking the time. And I'm like, why am I hungry again? So then I went to another restaurant, had dinner, went to the next outlet place, shopping, putting all these bags in my trunk, bought a whole bunch of stuff. And so when I finally got home, y'all, it was dark when I left. I was out there a good 8-9 hours shopping. I was tired. I was tired. And then that 2.5 hour drive home, I was tired. So when they say shop till you drop, yo, I shopped till I damn near dropped. And the only thing that saved me is because I stopped twice for lunch and for dinner and had like a full meal at a restaurant. And so I got home. I was tired. The next day, I had went and got some wrapping paper. I wrapped up everything I bought. Yo, it was stuff everywhere. I had so much stuff. And because I kept putting the bags in the trunk of my car, when I went to go bring everything inside, I'm like, this is a lot of shit. I'm like, oh my God. Y'all, when y'all see these movies, I don't know what the movie name is. It might be Clueless or something where you see that they're carrying all these bags in the mall. I had like 5 times more bags than that. I had so many bags in my trunk, and I'm just like, damn, I got a lot of shit. So it took me multiple trips to get all the stuff inside my house. I wrapped up each thing because I'm like, this is gonna be my Christmas. So I wrapped up each thing. And so because this was August, okay, you got like September, November, December till Christmas. And so I put everything, had my little fake Christmas tree, have all this stuff all around the tree. It was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff. It was insane. And so when Christmas came, I had forgot what I had bought because I bought the stuff in August and this is December. I'm opening up stuff. Oh, wow, this is really pretty. Oh my God. And then I'm like, girl, you bought it. I really forgot what I bought. So everything I looked at, I opened. I'm like, oh my God, like this is really cute. Ooh, unwrap something else. Wow. And then I'm like, girl, you bought all this stuff, but I had really forgot. Opened up something nice, those fluffy socks. I'm like, oh my God, like these are nice and soft. Oh, this is pretty. Holding up shirts, like, oh, this will fit. I'm like, girl, you bought it. Of course it's gonna fit. Yo, it was hysterical because I had really forgot what everything was. And I'm like, oh yeah, this will fit. This is nice. Of course it's gonna fit. I bought it. Of course it's nice and I like it. I bought it. And I kept laughing at myself because everything I would open, I'm like, oh wow, this is, and I'm like, girl, because I had really forgot what I had bought myself. Hey Caleb, how are you? Now I hope it's right on your foots. Like you know me. I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying, Caleb. But I'm glad you're here. But it was just hilarious because I'm just like, oh wow, like everything I'm opening, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so nice, this is so cute, this is so soft, this is so pretty, and I'm just like, girl, you bought it. I really have forgot everything I bought because I had packaged it up all the next day, and it was a lot of stuff too. But it was just, it was a really good Christmas. I used to wrap stuff individually, but now I get big boxes and wrap one thing, bump all that wrapping in odd shaped packages. LOL. Yeah, so that was back in 2003. And it was just crazy because I really had forgot. And I'm opening stuff like, ooh, girl, you bought it. You bought it because you like that. Like, what? So that's a funny story that I thought about was when I bought myself all that stuff and then forgot what I had bought. And I was so excited opening each package. Like, oh, I wonder what's in that one. Ooh. Yeah, so that was a good Christmas. Oh my gosh. So we only have a few more. We only have a few more. Speaking of clothing, I'm so glad you went live tonight. I needed this, says Joe. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, Joe. So along the same lines of clothing, when I worked at the juvenile jail in Wilmington, Delaware, this one kid, and they already have like stock of clothes, just like military. You just go through the line and get your clothes. You tell them what size or whatever, they get it for you. And so when kids would come in, you can ask, but that doesn't mean I'll answer. And let it be a legit, valid question. No craziness, because some people come here and be saying crazy stuff. But you can ask. Whether I'll answer or not is a different story. Just be appropriate, please. And so, they come in, we would get a new kid coming in, and what's your size or whatever, and, we send them down to wherever we get their clothes. Or we would have to escort them everywhere they went to go get their clothes. And this one dude, and we went up the sizes went up to 3X. This one guy, somebody walked him down, one of the other staff walked him down to get his clothes, and then he came back and he changed his clothes and he got dressed. And I'm looking at him like, I said, dude, you ain't supposed to be here. I said, you ain't built for this. You ain't supposed to be here. And he's like, what do you mean? Because he's trying to be all tough, right? Because he's a teenage boy. He's like, what do you mean? He's trying to be all tough. I said, what do you mean I ain't supposed to be here? I ain't built for this. I'm built for this. What do you mean? I said, dude, the clothes don't even fit you. You ain't built for this. You ain't supposed to be here. You wearing our largest size and you all looking like this. I said, you ain't supposed to be here. When you get out, stay free. And he was looking at me like, yeah, but he trying to be all tough. I'm like, you ain't built for this. You don't even fit the clothes. You ain't supposed to be here. We don't have clothes that fit you. You ain't supposed to be here. He was looking at me like, you ain't supposed to be here. But he thought I bit toughness or whatever. We don't have clothes that fit you. You ain't built for this. You are not supposed to be here. We do not have clothes that fit you. You ain't supposed to be here. So that was something that was funny to me. You need some advice. Thank you for the hearts. This is my first year in college. I don't know how to study. So can you tell me your experience? My experience with studying will not be helpful to you because I didn't study much. I just always got good grades. I didn't know he was either too cool. And you know what? How about you go find him? How about that? Go find him. Oh, thank you, Janet. My undergrad, I didn't study. My master's, I didn't really study. My doctorate, I studied and I had a tutor specifically for statistics. I am not a number person at all, y'all. If I could, I remember crying trying to get through statistics, like trying to do the assignments and to do the homework. And so I had even got a tutor. I just couldn't get it. And what it was is remembering the sequences because everything builds on something else. And I had a problem with remembering the formulas. If you don't remember the formulas for the first three things, you're not going to know the formula for the fourth and fifth thing because everything builds on itself. And y'all, I was so stressed out and I would actually cry like trying to understand and get through statistics. And I did pass, then we had to do statistics 1 and statistics 2. I did pass, I think, with a C for both, and that's with the help of a tutor. And so, but for that, we did have a study group too. But it's like if I can't remember the formulas, like they can't help my memory. You know what I mean? It was a struggle. But I will say, if you can find a study group, or I would say get a tutor. In the schools, the schools I went to, they had tutors. You just had to sign up for one. So I would say if you're having trouble studying, get a tutor. Or if there's other people in your class that you're cool with, ask them if they want to, form a study group and then y'all study together. I'm 4X. You have something for me. You ain't built for juvenile jail either, Haywood. Yeah, he was like, what do you mean I ain't built for it? I said, dude, the clothes don't fit you. You ain't supposed to be here. Look at you. And he was like, I say, read the material, highlight, take notes, take a break and go back over your highlights and notes. And also if it's something, sometimes different topics will have cliff notes, which will just be like a synopsis of whatever it is, whatever book, whatever movie, whatever concept or whatever, and learn it that way. And Tanya she heard SPSS is a beast. I don't know what that is. I used to buy that software for a counselor, says Tanya. But y'all was good with just reading stuff and just. But if it's something with formulas, I excelled at philosophy because it's all mental. And some of the students, I would get like straight A's in philosophy. A couple other classes too. He would say like he would tell us about something. The statistical software. That rings a bell now that you're saying that. That was so long ago. When was that? Sheesh. 2000. Because I graduated in 2010 with my doctorate. And that took me 5 years. So 2005 to 2010. You're welcome. Yeah, so if you're cool with people in your class, see if they want to do a study group, see if you can get a tutor. Yeah, so with philosophy, it was so interesting to me because he would say stuff, so a story about something, or read a story about something, and we would have to write a report on it. And so I would just do the report, turn it in, and always got A's in philosophy. And some of the other students would be like, excuse me. And a couple of other students would be like, how do you know like what he's looking for, like what he wants? I'm like, I don't know. They would be like, how are you like in his head like that? Like you really be understanding like what he's saying and you get straight A's. And I'm like, I don't know. Because people are like, I don't know what the hell he be talking about. They're like, and what this goes to is when I say my mind thinks differently than most people, and that's what it was. Because half the class was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, and he's like, that's it. And they're like, what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I loved philosophy. It was just really easy for me. And of course the psychology stuff. But people were like, how do you know like what he's saying? I'm like, you don't? They were like, no. And I would explain it to them and they would still be like, like, what are you talking about? And so yes, I didn't study till my doctorate because that shit, man. Statistics almost took me out. I was just like, I gotta do this. Like, that shit was hard for me. But you think statistic harder than medical? I do too. if it was formulas, and that's why when I was going to rope classes, learn how to do different ties and different columns, and then do different stuff, because I love to watch rope work in the alternative community. It's very artistic. It's very just like wow. And there's some people who do self suspension, and so you're looking at them doing all these things, and it's like wow. And so I wanted to see if that was going to be one of my things is rope, and I didn't want to give up too quick, and so it was a place, this dude in Delaware, he would have classes like every other week. I would go down there and classes was free. I went to a couple of rope classes in Philly. I just couldn't get it. And it was the same thing as it was with statistics. Each rope tie builds onto something else. So you learn a single column, then you do a double column, and then you do a loop, and then you do, but I couldn't remember all the steps to get to here. And so I kept saying, I'm gonna stick with it. And so I spent like 4 or 5 months trying to learn rope. I just couldn't remember the previous steps. And so I'm like, okay, well, this ain't gonna be my thing. And I don't have the patience for it. My favorite is impact play, where you just do something, get immediate response, where rope is just like, and after you're done, you're like, ooh, that's nice. But I just didn't have the patience for that either. But I didn't want to give up too soon. But I couldn't remember all those little steps and all the little ropes. And they're like, remember last week we did this? I'm like, I don't remember what we did last week. Like, I don't know. And so that wasn't it for me, because just remembering all those steps. Oh, here's a good one. The same grandma that thought I stole her mattress. I'm still, when I thought about this one, Locke, I'm just like, seriously? Like, I was, as an adolescent, preteens, actually, no. Early teens, I became depressed. The situation happened, and I was just done. I was done. And so I used to walk with my head down a lot because I was depressed. And so not doing it on purpose. It's just, you just walk how you walk. And my grandmother told me something one time, and I had forgot about it, but I did start doing it. And so one of the kids at Ferris School, the juvenile jail that I worked at with the dude that was too big to be there, it was this other dude, and he was a small dude. You had a very dull life compared to. Now, don't say that, because I'm sure you've had interesting things happen to you too. And this one kid, oh, I just remember something else about him, but I ain't gonna share that because that's like very personal, even though y'all don't know who he is. But and so he was like a little short, petite dude, and he would always walk with his head down. And when they walked up and down the hall, and we had to escort, of course, like escort, them to the classroom, escort them to lunch, escort them to the laundry, escort them to, to the gym, whatever. And they would have to walk with their hands behind their back. So in a way, it was kind of military, but they didn't have to do, the formations and, parade rests and at ease and all of that. They would just have to walk with their hands clasped behind their back. And that was safety for us, because if you got people walking and they all like this, okay, they can ready fight or what? Like, do I need to, pull up my sleeves and tie my braids back? Tanya, remember when I had them braids back in the day? Like, do I have to tie my braids back? Like, what's about to pop off here? And so they had to walk, with their hands clasped behind their back. And this one kid, he would always just be walking like this. And I used to watch him. And he wasn't my kid, meaning each of us staff members, we had 3 kids who were assigned to our caseload. And those are the kids that we had to follow up on, how they doing in school. Hey, skinny queen. Are they doing okay in other areas? Blah, 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 blah. And so he wasn't one of my kids. And so I was just like, but I would just be watching him. And he would always be walking like with his head down every time, we had to take them somewhere. And this one day I said, come here, I want to tell you something. And kids know. They know if you're there because you want to be there or if you're there for the money. And trust me, nothing in social services pays enough money for what we do. Period. And so a lot of other people's kids would gravitate to me because they knew that I cared. And I'm like, hey, look, and sometimes I would tell them, the only difference between me and you is I didn't get caught. I'm like, I done did some shit too. And I grew up in the street. So it's not too much you can get past me. Where some of the other staff, they're just like, oh, da, da, da. And so, and because I really did care, you think you skinny queen. And because I really cared, like they picked up on this. Other people's kids be like, Miss D, can I talk to you? Something happened and I'm upset. And I would say, yes, on the condition that you understand, I'm going to tell your counselor what we talked about for them to follow up with you, or for you to make sure you go and talk to them, because you're not my kid. So yes, you can talk to me, but I'm going to let them know. And you need to still go talk to them, or they will come talk to you. They're like, oh, okay. And that happened a lot, where other people's kids would come and be like, oh, Miss D, Miss D, Miss D. But this one kid just walking, he always had his head down. And it was just like, and so I would just watch him walk by, and I'd be like, damn. So this one time I told him, I said, come here, I'm going to tell you something. And so he came over there, so with his hands behind his back, he's standing there. He's like, yes, Miss D. And I said, I'm going to tell you something my grandmother told me when I was younger. I said, I used to walk with my head down a lot because I was depressed when I was younger. And then he kind of like looked up at me, and then he put his eyes back down, and he's standing like this. And I said, and one day she told me, your life is not on the floor. Your life is not down there. She told me, walk with your head up because your life is in front of you. And then he looked at me, and then he straightened up. I said, remember that. Your life is not down there. Walk with your head up because your life is ahead of you. And he was like, thank you. I said, you're welcome. And so when I would see him periodically, you know, with his head down, I would be like, yo. And he would go and look at me and smile. And I'd be like, and so that was really cool. And it got to a point where I didn't even have to go like this. I would be like, hey. And he would go. And I'd be like, and then he would go about his business walking with his head up. And so that was a really good memory, because it's the little things sometimes that we say and do that people, like I said, please thumb up the live. And so it's just like those little things. And I had forgot about that when my grandmother had told me that. And so I would be watching him, and I'm just like, and that's when I remembered. And I said, I'm going to tell him that. And yeah, and then sometimes he would look at me and be like, without me even having to say. So first it was, yo, and this, and other times I'd be like, hey, and then it got to where he would just see me and put his head up. And then after a while, he would just walk with his head straight, just walking down the hallway. So it did take time though, but he did get to where he just started walking with his head up. I didn't have to say anything or look at him or whatever. And so that was really cool. We're going to end on a funny story. So nobody don't have no stories? Y'all really just sitting around in a circle like this is the Reading Rainbow room. I'm just sitting here reading the book, telling stories. So this one, Skinny Queen, your request is tomorrow. And I don't know whether to say it's a member request or not, because they're going to be like, who a member? She don't have a thing by her name. But so your request is tomorrow, and next week is Michelle's, and then next week is your other one. It's tough to write stories. Yeah, so I just wrote down like briefly what the situation was, and then because I knew how I wrote it, I would remember the situation, like the details of it. But yeah, when I would think of something, I would just write it down. And so like for the basic training, an assaulting officer didn't alert anyone, just looked down. He pointed down, I got down and did my 10 push-ups. The soldier near me asked me why I didn't say anything, and I told her. So even though it was all like, I didn't write down, we were staring each other down or whatever. So it was just little things. Christmas alone in Delaware, shop till I drop, package stuff up, forgot. So just like little little bullet points. So this one is funny, but it's not funny. Locke's weird story is someone accusing me of being someone else when I knew 100% it was me. So you knew it was you? Oh, and they were accusing you of being someone else. That is crazy. I told y'all that time when I was in Texas. This dude, we argued for 15 friggin' minutes because he was telling me who my brother was. I ain't got no brothers. 15 minutes arguing with this dude. I will tell y'all this. Every state I've ever lived in, somebody says I look just like somebody else. I'm like, I just got an average face, I guess. Like, seriously, everywhere I move, somebody's like, you look just like so-and-so. Yeah, he argued me down. He was like, how's your, he said a name, how's so-and-so doing? I'm like, who's that? Girl, why are you playing? That's your brother. I'm like, I don't have no brothers. Girl, stop playing, how he doing? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know who he is. Girl, I came to your house, and we was doing and we was having dinner, and your mom invited me to stay over, and blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know you. I'm like, I do not have any brothers. Y'all, 15 friggin' minutes, no lie. This dude was arguing with me about who my brother was. I ain't got no brothers, y'all. I don't have no brothers. 15-minute argument. I'm just like, why are you playing, girl? I used to come over to the house. I'm like, I don't have no brothers. If someone accused you of having a specific sibling, Tanya says they could be right. Papa was Rolling Stone. We did used to think we had a brother. And when I asked my dad about it, I respect my dad. I do. At first, he named the woman. And I had forgot the name because my mom had mentioned it when we were growing up. And he even said the name. I'm like, damn. Like my dad, when we re-met, he didn't keep any secrets. And I would not ask him anything. He would just start regurgitating a whole bunch of stuff that happened and stuff he did. And I'm just thinking like, oh shit. I said, Dad, do me and my sister have a brother? He said, oh, by so-and-so? And I'm like, damn, like he named the lady name. I had forgot the lady name. And I said, well, I don't know her name. Skinny Queen said, it's like, brother, who? I'm my only child. Yeah, right? And he said, no. And then he said, well, not that I know of. And I didn't say anything. He said, I'm saying not that I know of. He said, because no other woman has ever came to me and said she was pregnant by me. And I said, you know what, Dad? I said, I accept that and I respect that. That was the truth. He didn't know because no woman ever told him that she was pregnant by him. And so I respect that. So he wasn't like, what do you mean? I ain't never. He was like, not that I know of. Nobody's ever told me they were pregnant by me. Tanya has a possible request. Go back to one of your earlier videos. I do not have them anymore. I deleted all of that long time ago and recreated look you did before on one side of your face and how you would do it now on the other side. This may satisfy that. The look I did yesterday, Tanya, was for a Creative Art with Heart collab, and it was, the theme was unapologetic, like something you used to do or something you didn't accept about yourself and you did, whether, being creative or you're bold or you're contradictory or you're this or you're that, and just really just what we stand for here, just owning who you are. And so what I did was, I knew it was going to be a regular look, so I didn't want it to be boring. So, excuse me, and I did put the reel on and pictures on Instagram. So one side of my face, and we use the same palette. One side of my face, even like blush, bronzer, all that, the eye look, that was how YouTube taught me to do makeup. Like when I first started makeup back in the day. And the other side of my face was how I like my makeup. And so I wanted it to tell a story since it was just a makeup look. And then when I did the reel/short, which I'll post the short on YouTube when I actually post a video. I think the video will go up later this week, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe Friday it'll go up. But so it was, yeah, so this side was how YouTube taught me and this is how I like it. And I also said I'm contradictory because I do a lot of light ethereal looks and that's not my thing. And so I like old makeup trends and recreate them. It's so much fun, says Skinny Queen. Janet, for the next story, I want to know the funniest, weirdest, best pickup line anyone has ever used with you. I can tell you that right now, and if I don't forget. Actually, I'm going to tell you that now, and then I'm going to do the last thing that I have on here. It wasn't a pickup line. I respect honesty. Y'all know this. I went, talking to this dude, this was eons ago, and we physically met out in the shopping plaza, and so we went into, where did we go? Did we eat first? I think we went in we were in a shopping plaza. This was all sorts of stores and stuff like that. So we went in for lunch and then we sat, it was a nice day. So then we sat outside and we were talking. And then later on we were like, we talked for hours and hours and hours. And then he said, there's an ice cream place over there. We went to ice cream. So we walked over to ice cream, came back and sat down. But what was funny about him was, I respect it. I really do. I respect honesty. I tell people, I may not like what you say, but I respect you being honest. I respect what you say. And I asked him, and he was 60 something. And it's unbelievable to me on these profiles. Men be like, they want kids and they're like 60 years old. Like, dude, why'd you bring your grandpa to your high school graduation? Like, to me, I'm just like, I don't understand that. But anyway, so he was like pushing 60. And so I asked him, I said, do you want kids? Because I know I never did and I don't. And he said, no, but I like practicing. And he started humping in the air. I was like, he said, no, I don't, but I like practicing, and he humping in the air. And I'm just like, I looked at him, I cracked up laughing. I said, I respect that. And he was really cool because if I don't like a person or if I'm not comfortable with a person, I'm not going to talk to you. We were out there maybe 5, 6, 7 hours just talking, eating and talking, eating and talking. Go here, get ice cream, sit down and talk again. You know, go over here, go eat, sit down, talk again. And so I thought like he would be really cool just to hang out with. But I'm like, we couldn't hang out because he's going to want to be practicing. And so that was the end of that. But I respected that though because he. I have never had anybody. And he did the most. He's like humping the air. I like practicing. I don't want kids, but I like practicing. And I'm just like, oh my God, this guy. And that's what I liked about him because he was honest and he was upfront. But I was just like, damn, like he. So it's not a pickup line, but that's. But that was something that was funny. Yeah, Papa was a Rolling Stone. And what's really bad about it is my dad was always a preacher. So I'm just like, so you your wife in the front row and your mistress is in the back. Like, just say you polyamorous and keep it above board and don't be lying. But anyway. And my mom would tell us horror stories too. I would come home and the sheets be soiled. I'm like, damn. Like he ain't have like no secrecy or nothing. How you do that? How you do that? Like you just flat out don't care. First of all, it's in your house, in y'all bed, which means he has some woman in y'all bed. Y'all do the thing, and there's evidence of the thing, and you just leave it there. That is wrong on so many levels. I was just like, what? Like, what is that? And he was a preacher. He still preached to this day. And I'm just like, those of you who are married in here, imagine coming home and you go to get in the bed and it's like, what is this? We need to have a talk. Like, what the fuck? Like, you just don't care. My husband and I met in a funny way. He said to his friends, that's cool how you walk and you look behind you and there's another pair of footsteps behind you and that's when you realize Jesus with you all along. Yep, absolutely. And then said my name, Jayla, because I was walking behind him. Yep. But I was just like, y'all. Yeah, my dad, man. And I love my dad and I respect my dad. He's never lied to me that I know of. Because, I mean, if you ain't going to lie about that, by so-and-so, and I'm thinking if we have another brother, like and that's what I respect about him. And then also what happened is what happened. You know, I can't go back in time and change anything. He can't go back and change anything. But so-and-so left. Oh, I am so sorry. If you catch the replay, no, thank you for being here. Okay. He said that right after Locke said to thumb up the live, and I didn't even see that because I was talking about something. And then Janet, tough to write stories, yeah. You should do a video, Skinny Queen, and tell your story. And that's what I respect about my dad is I've never asked him anything, and he would just start telling me all kinds of stuff, and I'd be looking at him like, I didn't need to know that. But ain't no talking. Your motel says key would be in the bedroom. Yo, that was so crazy. I was just like, how do you? So my last bullet point here is about when I had my hair braided. Tanya know me from way back then when I had my hair. I was in and out of braids for 10 years, y'all. You should, Skinny Queen. And I was thinking again, off topic a little bit, but not really. So talking about marriages and messed up things that some spouses do. I was thinking again because my dad, his wife now, he said he knew when they met that they were going to get married, but they still lived together 6 months before they got married. He said he wanted to be sure. And I'm like, well, did you really know then? If you really knew when y'all met, y'all would get married, why do you need 6 months to know for sure? Like, make that make sense. And it turns out that other people, my dad's side of family, they do the same thing. They'll move their partner in, and then after 6 or 7 months, they're like, oh, we got married. I'm like, big deal. Y'all been living together for how long or whatever. And other family members like, yeah, we've been kicking it all these years, but I don't want to move in because then they'll say, they'll be pressuring to get married because, I can't keep living like this. And so I was thinking about that, like, what is the difference? Like because when you're dating or whatever, you're kicking it, whatever you want to call it, it's like, okay, you go stay with them, because it gets to a point where you're going to be spending weekends, with this person as time go on. So you go stay with them for a weekend, a couple weekends later, they come spend the weekend with you, blah, blah, blah. And so I was thinking, like, what's the difference? Like, when one of you move in with the other one, like, what's the difference between when y'all used to spend weekends at each other's place? And the only thing that I could think of is that going back to religion and societal norms is appearances. Because if I'm staying with you every other weekend and you're staying with me on the opposite weekends, it's like, oh, okay, there's this car in her driveway, got a visitor. Or, okay, there's a new car in his driveway, got a visitor. But when somebody's there every day, the car's every day, it's like, oh, damn, so-and-so lives there now. But it's like, who the fuck cares? But in my mind, I'm like, maybe it's just appearances. Like, oh, shit, everybody know I'm fucking. And then they start to feel guilty. So it's like, I can't keep living like this. But before y'all moved in, like, how long was y'all kicking it? Like, how long? Because I know people that have been with people 5 years, 7 years, and then they're like, oh, we're about to get married. Y'all been together 7 to 10 years. Like, what's the big deal about that? You coming to the wedding? No. I mean, this ain't exciting. Y'all been together all this time. And so that's the only thing I can think of is just that it's just appearances because now people know. But then it's like, why are you in my business? You know what I'm saying? And I do know a lot of in my day-to-day life, I know people like that. And I'm just like, what's the difference though? Because y'all been doing this. It just wasn't permanent as far as who lived where. And so that's the only thing I could think of is that it was just now people really know. And it's just religious and societal norms, in my opinion, and family expectations. How much that I would be the responsive person. Yeah, that was just crazy. Like, you just really just don't care. The best way to keep. I know someone in my day-to-day life, like know this person. When their girlfriend, they were living together. When girlfriend was in a hospital giving birth, he had another chick, the side chick, was at home in the bed with him. So I'm like, you ain't even go to the hospital. True story, y'all. True story. Living girlfriend, giving birth, excuse me for smacking, side chick at the house with him in the bed. I'm like, y'all be hardcore. Just say y'all polyamorous and be honest. Like, don't just... With a large parking lot or garage. The best way to keep a relationship on a deal. But then why be the deal? Like, who cares? I mean, for me, I'm like, why are you in my business? Like, who cares? Like, who's coming and going? Like, what does that have to do with you? Not you, Time. I'm just saying in general. Like, who? To live in the deals, to live in an apartment complex. I'll tell you this, though, because I've been here so long, I know when it's a different car. And because I know each building, there's 9 apartments. I know who lives where. So if I see something new, a new car, I'm like, okay. And then if I see a new person, I'm like, okay, they moved in that apartment over there. Like, I know. You mean if you're seeing multiple people and they don't know it? Just like getting married, you basically doing the same. Yeah, you're doing the same thing. So, and the thing is, y'all, I've been polyamorous. Even when I first started dating, I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought everybody had multiple partners. And it was I didn't promote it, but it was never a secret. Like, John would be like, oh, you want to go out this weekend? I'm like, oh, I got plans this weekend. Oh, what are you doing? I'm going to be with Henry. Who's Henry? My other boyfriend. They'd be like, oh, okay. It was never a big deal. It was never a big deal. It was never a thing. And I really thought everybody did that. Like, I didn't think anything of it. And the dudes I was dating, they didn't think anything of it. It was never any arguments. Like, what do you mean? Y'all were like, it was never none of that. I didn't even realize it was a word for it until I was like in my 30s. And I'm like, oh, polyamory? Oh, and I read what it is. I'm like, oh, that's the thing. Like that's a legit thing. I'm like, damn. So it's like I always was, except when I was married, because I wanted to be a good Christian wife, and the expectation is it's just you and this person. Ironic, I think the first one cheated. I know for sure the second one cheated. And people were like, why not have an open marriage? And I said, well, you got to be honest to be open. And the motherfucker kept lying to me. So it's just really ironic, like how that played out for me. Not being who I am because of expectations, and then them doing the opposite. Right? That's when it was okay to date. Now, when you go on one date, they want to move in. I ain't been on a date in a while. I don't know. Oh, let me tell you about this dude. I still got that one story. I mean, if you're seeing multiple peeps and they don't know. Yeah, and it's not a secret. It was never a thing. Oh, who's Henry? My other boyfriend? Oh, okay. Like, it was never. I thought everybody did that. Like, I didn't. I didn't even know it was a word for it. So I was like in my 30s. Somebody was like, oh, you're polyamorous. What's that? I looked it up. I'm like, oh, damn, I am. I always was. And so when dudes now be like, oh, you should have did that when you're not. Did what is who I am. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just being who I am. But it just goes to societal and religious and family expectations. And men, being stereotypical here, men could sleep with however many women and they're called a playboy. Let a woman sleep with 3 men and she's a slut. Who the hell you think she's sleeping with? I'm gonna just leave that there. But anyway, my thing is just don't lie to me. Someone said that's what I was when I was in my 40s, and I looked confused and said, what is that? Yeah, I didn't know it was a word for it. And so I was like, damn, like that's a thing. Like, okay, I've always been since I first started dating. Like that's just who I am. So I was going to say something, I forgot. I was going to tell y'all a story about something. Excuse me. If it ain't sleeping, it's the humping. That was so funny when he did that. I cracked up laughing. He would have been so cool to just kick it with, but I'm like, I can't kick it with him because he's going to want to be practicing, and I ain't want to be kicking it like that. Like, but just like hanging out, like how we hung out all them hours that day, like that was so much fun. But I'm like, I couldn't even be just like platonic friends with him because he's going to want to be practicing, and I don't want to practice with you. But, but he was so cool though. But I forgot what I was going to say. I still have this one story. Excuse me. Oh, the dude. When are you saying you do, or are you repeating what he said, Skinny Queen? Thank you, Carl. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you thumbs up and consider subscribing. We do live streams 3 times a week. Usually it's makeup, but I have decided, everybody, one of our live streams a week is going to be commentary. So we're just going to be talking. And the other 2, of course, will be makeup. And on Tuesdays will be me doing the look that a member requested me to do. And Thursday will just be up in the air. But at least once a week we'll do a commentary so we can just sit and kick back and talk. Oh, what he said. Okay, Skinny Queen. Okay, yeah, what he said. So I remember I told y'all that I read him up and down, blah, blah, blah. He wrote back, that's about the process. And that was kind of it. And then he messaged me, he emailed me a couple weeks later, somehow, can I meet him for dinner? And I'm like, I don't think that'd be a wise idea to put myself in a position for you to criticize me being sleepy. And so then a few more weeks went by, he emailed again, oh, I've been thinking about scheduling a session. What do you think about that? I've been thinking about you lately. I ain't reply back. And I told y'all he did email me Thanksgiving and Christmas, but what I had forgot to tell y'all was that was the subject of the email, but he never put anything in the email. It was just like, Happy Thanksgiving was the title, was the subject, and that was it. I didn't respond back. And even if he had wrote something, I wouldn't have responded anyway. And then Christmas, he did the same thing. Merry Christmas. It was the subject of the email. I didn't respond back. I had the best male friend, strictly platonic, but he ended up getting married and we grew apart. But we used to hang out and laugh and have fun all the time. I'd go up to his house and visit. Yeah, that was like me and dude whose mom died, and he started thinking he was entitled to my time. That's how we were. And I don't even know if I would say we were best friends. He might have considered it that. Yeah, we would hang out at each other's house after school, aka who's online. Deb card I got locked because I bought too many things again. You're that member. And so I got another email the other day, y'all, and I'm just like, he just don't get it. So So he he actually wrote an email this time, and I just put the subject title as the email. So he put something like, "I wrote you a few emails, I didn't hear back from you," and I'm thinking, "Oh, okay, the subject is your email. Okay, got it, understood." But anyway, so I'm just reading the thing, already laughing, like I'm not going to respond to this joker. Saying he said something like, "I've been trying to, I wrote you a few emails and I didn't hear back from you, and I had asked about what you thought about me scheduling a session." And in my mind, I'm like, me not answering you is what I think about it. But anyway, and then he wrote, "I know this guy who um, is interested in seeing a dominatrix," which I never claim to be, and I don't ever like. I really don't claim that I am one of those. Just because I've done paid sessions, that doesn't make me that. Um, and he said, and he makes a lot of money. He owns a car wash, blah, 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 blah. So how should I tell him to get in touch with you? And I'm like, okay, either he's saying this to get me to respond to him and he's just full of shit with all of this, or like this situation really happened. And so I didn't reply back. And I'm just like, So what I did yesterday was I sent the email, and in the subject I put, "You can give him this email address." That was it. So I did that yesterday. That was the subject. And that's all I put. "You can give him this email address." That was it. That was it. In the subject bar. I didn't put nothing in the space, nothing. Question for everyone. Can your partner be friends with their exes? I'll say, can your partner be friends with exes? I'll say no. Because this one dude I know, he still be acting like we cool. And we cool in a way, but in a way I'm like, dude, but you lying to your person. Like, I'm not down with that. Um, and his person, she knew of me, and sometimes she was cool with him, when he would be on the phone talking to me, and she would be like, "Who's that?" He would be like, "Oh, it's D," and she'd be like, "Okay." And then he said other times, like, she would get upset. So, and I said, the only way for her to get used to it is for you to be consistent, because when he would call me, and this was years ago, this is the one whose mom died, whose phone was messed up, and so that's why she didn't hear from me all that time, because she wasn't returning my calls and messages. That's her son. And I said, the only way she's going to get used to it is if you just be honest. And so he wasn't. So sometimes she was cool with it, and sometimes she wasn't. But he still be trying to get in touch with me. I don't have much to say to him either. I'm like, because you're being secretive, and I'm not down with that. I'm definitely for a shit scene queen. I just unblocked the next one of my decisions for 2026. I had him unblocked so he would realize that he could get through, but I wasn't going to answer. It was all over since 2018. It calls at least twice a year. And it's just crazy because I forget about people, and then I get a message or something. I'll be like, what? I'll be like, damn, like they remember me? And I think it's because they know that they were wrong, and so they're living with some type of guilt or something. Because trust me, I am not thinking about that dude. The one who's the mom, and then him lying to his wife and all. Like, I ain't thinking about you. But he'll text me every couple of weeks or something. I'm just like, dude, I'm not trying to talk to you. Janet, no, because why are you friends with somebody you broke up with? No, she's saying if your partner can be friends with your ex, not you being friends with your ex, your partner. So that would be like this dude, his wife, me and her being friends. That's what she's talking about. And that's why I said that story that I just said. As long as the ex is above board and the partner isn't doing any shenanigans. And that's the thing, is keeping it above board. Because if she knows sometime when you call me and other times she don't know, how is she going to accept that, okay, it's really nothing going on? Like if you being secretive with shit. Because you have shared life experiences together, know each other's families, and you both moved on. Yeah, and so when he first met her, we were in touch more. We actually, he got, I was going to say found me. He got in touch with me when I was in Texas in the military, because he was talking to his mom. And she was like, "Oh, I was just talking to D." And he was like, "Oh, give me her number." And so that's how we reconnected. And so we were in touch like quite a bit. But then as time went on, I'm just like, yeah, nah. I think I'm kind of like being reminded that he was too pathetic. Oh, then hell no, because why are you being friends with someone that I don't want in my life anymore? But if you and your ex are friends, then it is somebody you want in your life. She's asking if your current partner or spouse could be friends with your ex. But if you and your ex are still friends, I would say it depends. I would say it depends. It depends on if the person is honest, if the middleman guy or girl is honest about. being in touch with you. But in this situation, I would say no, because it's easier to not be honest, to not even deal with it, than to be honest and deal with them maybe being upset that day, kind of thing. So my last story is when I had braids, and Tanya remembers this. I was in and out of braids 10 years, and I would get my braids done every 3 months. It was every 4, and then I got down to every 2 because I'm just like, I wanted to keep them fresh. Y'all, crazy story I forgot about till just now. When I worked in New York, I had braids, and there's this white guy, and I'm saying that, hear me, white guy. What do you know about braids, right? I had box braids at that point when I lived in New York, and he was one of the employees. And he came in one day and he was like, "Oh, it's almost time to get your braids retouched." And I'm like, "What the fuck does old white man know about braids?" So I'm like, he must have dated black women, because how do you know? He's like, "Oh, it's time for you to get your braids touched up." And I looked at him. I really did, though. But I'm like, how he know? I forgot about that till just now. Yeah, no, they can't be friends with exes because what you said. Why would you be partner to someone you do not trust? Yeah. I'm not going to tell this story because it's not my story to tell. It's a story that a friend of mine told me about friends of hers. And so I'm just like, it's one of those things, like, it's too crazy not to be true. But I was in and out of braids for a good 10 years. And that's why my hair is short now, not because of the braids, but because having braids made me really low maintenance with my hair. So when I was wearing my hair out, trying to learn how to deal with it, I'm like, this shit is for the birds, because I wasn't raised how to do my hair. And I did post pictures, I think somewhere. My hair was shoulder length, not that it matters. I mean, it's this whole thing with, do you have long hair? Blah, it don't fucking matter. But for some people, hair is like the biggest deal. And I'm like, that's not the best part of me. Like, it's not. My heart and my soul is the best part of me. But anyway, but it was just so low maintenance that trying to learn how to do my hair, what type of hair do I have, what products are the good products to use, like how to do this, how to do that. And I was in my 40s, and I'm like, this shit is for the birds. I tried y'all for a good 2 to 3 years, and I spent so much money, so much time, and I still just couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, you know what? Then I had that faux mohawk when this was short, and I just had a little bit of hair at the top, and as time went on, cut that off too. So now here we are, low maintenance all the way. But she has said, "Oh, hey, Sunsaray. Oh, thank you." This was story time, so you might want to go back and hear some wacky stories and stuff. It's like, what? But thank you for being here. We are a multitasking bunch. So where I went to get my braids was in Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. It took me about an hour and a half to drive up there to get my hair done. And I was with her for years, because when she would move, I would follow her. So she was living somewhere, and it was always in Pennsylvania somewhere. And this is when I was in back and forth from school. So I was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And then when I moved to Delaware, so she lived in Philadelphia, I would go there, and then she moved in with her mom, so I would go over there and get my hair done. And then she got married, I would go to that house and get my hair done. So wherever she went, and y'all know how it is. If y'all have a hairstylist y'all like, you will follow them to their grave. The day before their funeral, you'll be like, "Can you do my hair tomorrow?" So wherever she went, I would go where she was. Northeast Extension, I gave her trying to find out products for my hair, so I choose to be bald instead. Low maintenance. The only thing is, when you ask me, Skinny Queen, "Oh, what's with the hat?" I say, because I don't have no hair and my head be cold in the wintertime. That's what was up with the hat. And in the summer, when it's hot, I wear a different kind of hat because it feels like my head be on fire. So it's like either on fire or it's ice cubes. But and you wear wigs, so do Tanya. And I got that one Carla wig. She doesn't hit me. So it was a snowstorm happening, and we scheduled, for me to go up and get my hair done. And we ended up having a snowstorm. And in Delaware, we either get little to no snow or we get slammed. And so even if they say, "Oh, blah, 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 winter advisory," it might rain. Sometimes it might rain. That's it. And other times we get slammed. And so we were getting slammed. We were getting slammed with snow. And up there, they were getting snow and icy roads and the weather conditions, yada, 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 yada. So I had texted her, "Tanya, I was serious about my braids back then." I had texted her, and I was like, "Yeah, it's supposed to be a snowstorm tomorrow." And she said, "Well, you can still come get your hair done." Shit. That night I was taking out my braids, washed my hair, blow dried it. I'm in the road the next morning, left extra early because of the weather. Y'all, my windshield wipers kept freezing up. I had to keep stopping, scraping the windshields, and traffic is crazy. Can't see the lines in the road. I'm swerving because of the ice and everything. Hour and a half drive away, y'all. I get there. I was serious about my braids. Y'all, it was a fucking blizzard, and I'm in the car. And that's when I lived in Dover, I believe. So it was even further than like where I live at right now. I get there. Y'all, I could have died. It wasn't that bad. But it was freezing snow. The roads is icy. My windshield wipers kept freezing up. It was crazy. I get there. I'm knocking on the door. And it took her longer than usual to get to the door. So I'm like, did she go back to sleep? She opened the door and she's rubbing her eyes and she's like, come in, I gotta make coffee. I'm like, are you okay? She was like, girl. She said her husband's name. He said he heard you knock and he looked out the window and asked me, are you doing hair today? D is outside. And she said, oh, I guess so. She's like, let me go make some coffee. And I'm like, oh, well, you said to still come. And she's like, I was joking. It's a blizzard outside. I said, I know, I just drove here in it. She's like, I was joking with you, but come on in. I'm going to make some coffee. She was like, I was like, I can come back. She's like, no, you already here. Just give me some time to drink a cup of coffee. I felt so bad. And I told her, I said, you know I don't play about my braids. She was like, yeah, you do have a point. She's like, you don't play about your braids. And I said, I really wasn't going to come. So when you said come up here, I'm like, okay. And so I took them out last night, all that. And she was like, I was joking. I'm like, so that was a funny story because she was just, y'all, she had crust in her eyes and everything. And she was just like, let me just make some coffee. And Daryl, so-and-so was like, are you doing hair today? See, D outside. Oh, I guess I am. Don't mess with me with my braids. Tell me come get them done. I drove in a snowstorm to get my hair rebraided. She's like, I was joking. I said, you know I don't play with my hair. She's like, yeah, you're right. Let me finish this cup of coffee. Like she was out of it, y'all. I was just like, oh my gosh. So that was my last story because that was funny to me because I wanted to feel bad, but then I'm like, she had been doing my braids off and on at that point about 8 years. So like, you know I'm serious about these braids and about my hair. So why would you even joke like that? Are you freaking kidding me? When I was in Texas and I was coming to Jersey, like just to visit family, I scheduled with her to go up there and get my hair done. Like I was serious about my braids. I was serious about getting my hair done. So I was just like, girl. But she was just like, let me just drink this coffee. And I'm just sitting there like, take your time. Because I'm thinking I'm here now in the blizzard, like I ain't going nowhere anytime soon. And her husband came downstairs and he looked, I was like, hey. He was like, hi. He looked at her and was like, and then he went back upstairs. I said, she told me still come. And he was just like, went back upstairs. So that's my last story. Tanya, no, man. She was with me when I had them braids, boy. But yeah, she was just like, let me just do this. And I'm sitting there like, okay. I'm watching TV. Oh, so that's my last story for the story time. So thank you, Locke, so much for requesting funny stories. Some were funny and some were like, yeah, I really stole a mattress. Okay. And then other ones are like, why you ain't announced the officer was here. But so these are the things that I thought of just randomly. I would have a thought and I'd be like, oh, let me write that down for story time because I'm like, I know I'm not gonna remember it. But this was a lot of fun though, and thank you, Janet, for co-signing. She's like, yeah, we could call it story time with Dion. And then too, I thought it'd be good going into the new year to have just a funny story, just like a lighthearted live stream. And so that is that. Thank you, Janet. So we had a little bit of everything. Fun stuff, serious stuff, crazy stuff. Me buying gifts and not remembering what they were. And I was really surprised. Oh, this is nice. Girl, that's why you bought it. That to me in hindsight is so funny because I was like, ooh, like somebody else gave it to me. Ooh, this is pretty. Oh yeah, this will fit. Of course it'll fit. I paid for it. I bought it. Yeah, I was tripping. But that was a good Christmas. But so we are going to go. Thank you everybody for being here. For those who popped in and left because they're like, what is she talking about? A little bit of everything in this live stream. Yeah. Excuse you, Bruce. He's so rude. So we're going to go. We're here tomorrow night to do Skinny Queen's request. And I forget what we're doing on Thursday. I forget about that. I forgot what we're doing on Thursday. But I do have it written down, though. Bruce Almighty, yeah. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, replay crew. Thank you those who are in the showers. Sons of Ray. We are a multitasking bunch here, and I appreciate your time. And we'll be back here tomorrow night to do makeup. And Wednesday a video was going up, and Thursday another live, and then Friday a video was going up. So go ahead and subscribe if you're not. Consider joining the membership or rejoining membership. Practicing person. As always, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you'll see me soon. Bye.